Thanks, Raquel. Yes, I'm out here with Fire Inspector Tavis Milrove, and we are out here at the Harris Nature Center. We are going to be talking about fire pits and burning permits. As you see right behind us, we have a fire going. So Tavis is going to take us through some of the rules and qualifications that you have to have. So Tavis, let's talk about the pit. This is a little big, you said, for a backyard?
Yeah, being that this is the Harris Nature Center, this pit is about, I don't know, 2 to 3 times too big for your backyard. Regulations for doing a fire pit in your backyard recreationally is a maximum size of 36 inches. So, from point to point across it, 3 feet. That's the biggest you can go with it. You can make them smaller if you want. In fact, we encourage that. But if you need a big fire pit, 36 inches is your biggest you can go.
All right, Tavis, so I see right here we got some sticks, wood, that type of thing to start fires. Are there anything you recommend people do not use to
Absolutely.
pollute it?
As far as for any burning that is done in your backyard with this fire pit, it's made or intended for cut, seasoned firewood only. We don't want you trying to do brush cleanup, no burning of your grass clippings, leaves, anything like that. So anything, cut, seasoned, and seasoned just means it's dried out. You don't want to cut down a tree in the spring and then try and burn it that summer, because you're just going to be left with a bunch of smoke again, and with a lot of smoke, here comes the fire department, and we politely ask you to put your fire out.
All right, so let's talk about burn permits for a second here. So kind of, how does someone get a permit? Take me through the process.
You're going to go to the Meridian Township website, so it's meridian.mi.us. Go to the fire department page within that, and you'll find a page in there for burn permits, rules, regulations, and registration. You want to register the permit. That's step one. Okay, you're going to fill out name, information, location, stuff like that, a few check boxes and some questions. From there, that tells us how we're going to handle the permitting process. If we need to come out and do an on-site inspection, if it's a renewal of a pit, then you're just going to go there, re-register it, click a few boxes, and you're done. You're good for the year. Unless you move or build a new fire pit, then we actually have to come out and do an on-site inspection. And all this is free. There's no charge for any of it to happen. So if you dig or build your own pit, an on-site inspection is needed after you register it online. If you're going to use one of the commercially made ones, we're still going to come out, and we may come out and talk to you, or we may just make contact with you over the phone. But we're going to make sure that you know the rules and regulations for using the smaller commercially made pits. And once you register those online, you're done. You're good to go.
All right, and what are some common mistakes that we see with people burning their fire pits? Is it burning the wrong stuff? Is it, not paying attention to it?
A lot of times it's burning the wrong stuff. We see a lot of people try to do brush cleanup, burn leaves in the spring and the fall. That's not allowed. And the other thing we see, we don't see it as often, but I'd say it'd be the number 2 most common mistake when it comes to fire pits, is when they're constructing it, they mistakenly put it too close to a structure. So right now the rules state that it has to be 25 feet away from any structure. And people think, okay, it's got to be 25 feet away from my house, away from my garage, that's fine. But the problem is that also includes your fence, includes your shed, other outbuildings that could be in your yard. We need to make sure that it's away from those things, because we don't want those catching on fire either.
Right. So tell me, what's the proper way to put one of these out?
Proper way to put one of these out is with water, and a lot of water, and then usually using some sort of a garden implement, rake, shovel, something like that. Turn it over, bury it, do that sort of thing with it. You can use a fire extinguisher like we have here, but that's going to create a mess, and nobody really wants that in their backyard. So we have that just for the demonstration purposes here today. But having a garden hose handy, part of the permitting rules for using your fire pit is you have to have a method of extinguishment on site. So most everybody uses a garden hose, which works just perfectly fine. Use a rake or a shovel to turn it over a little bit and keep wetting it down until it stops sizzling, and you should be good to go.
Right. So that is all the questions that I have for you. Anything you want to add that I didn't touch on?
Just that, be mindful, practicing fire safety, whether you're indoors in your kitchen cooking, outdoors, enjoying a fire, campfire in the background, it's a 24/7, 365 thing. You always got to be conscious of what you're doing. Just make sure that when you're using your fire pit, you don't have maybe loose-fitting clothing. You don't want to be real close to it. Things like that. Garments can catch fire if you're too close to it, and just remember your stop, drop, and roll in that case. And then, of course, we don't want to see too many flaming marshmallows through the air either. So just be safe and have fun.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, Tavis. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. That's all I have for you today. I'm Camille McCombs with Home TV. Back to you in the studio, Raquel.